All right, everybody, what's going on? Good late morning. Hope you guys are still doing well. And we got some stuff to talk about today. I'm taking, I think anyway, I think I'm going to take a break from the free agency primer today. There's only a little bit left. I'm probably going to finish up what we have left tomorrow. And then we go into a new month, the month of March, with the free agency primer done. And then I can just focus on the draft until free agency actually gets here. So that's the plan right now. We got other stuff to talk about, other stuff to get into here. And this, which came out yesterday, and I didn't really see this until late in the day. And by that point, I didn't really want to make a video about it. And I didn't know how credible it was. But as time has gone on, it does seem like this is something at least worth talking about, especially because I thought that we were probably in the clear about this one. So let's get into the DeMarcus Lawrence situation. You guys have probably heard of it, but let's get into it. All right, guys, before we go any further into the video, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about my friends over at Sleeper. Sleeper is a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. Download the app to your phone. You can celebrate and chat about sports in real time with other users. You can get scores, news, and alerts with blazing fast speed. And you can play in daily fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports together. Download Sleeper today, and don't forget to use my promo code SBN for up to $100 match on your first deposit. Plus, they currently have a free $20 entry, no deposit required, just make an account. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper and have fun with sports this year. All right. So Brady Henderson, who is a guy that we listen to a lot around here, somebody who has a lot of credibility and usually gets things like this pretty right, went on Seattle Sports yesterday, I think it was, and had a little bit of a conversation on their Seattle Sports Radio. And he basically said that there is still a pretty strong possibility that DeMarcus Lawrence could retire this offseason. And obviously, that's something that we were aware of going into the offseason, especially once we won the Super Bowl. There was a real chance that D-Law would call it quits at that point. But as time went on, after the game was over, as you got through the parade, as you got to the Friday post Super Bowl, where a bunch of contract stuff guaranteed, it seemed like we were good. And Lawrence was not the only player that we were having this thought with. There was Cooper Kupp and even a little bit of Leonard Williams, but haven't heard anything there. But we have heard this about this. So there is a very real question, according to Brady Henderson, about Lawrence. Lawrence's own camp doesn't yet know what he's going to do, supposedly. And it based on what he's saying, it sounds like it could go one way or the other. And I mean, first of all, that is a significant blow to this team if he does end up retiring. Let's just start there. So, first of all, I hope he doesn't retire because I like him. I like his game. I think he can still play. I think he can still get it done. But it would not be the most shocking thing in the world if this happened. Understand DeMarcus Lawrence is about to turn 34 years old. He's been in the league since 2014, played a lot of football, and has been very productive throughout much of his career. And while he was a very good player in Dallas as recently as just a couple years ago, his ability to rush the passer was not there to the extent that it was there this last year for a while. So I think some people, and maybe Lawrence feels this way as well, are kind of in the mode that, well, 2025 was my last gasp as a good pass rusher. And if I come back, yes, I'll still be able to play football. Yes, I'll still be good against the run. Yes, I'll still be effective. But my days of effectively getting to the quarterback are over. He had 6 sacks last year, and he also had two in the playoffs. And he had a lot of pressure as well. If you go down to the pressure numbers and the advanced numbers, he had 39. That's the most he's had in a season since 2018 when he had 42, when he was 26 years old. So he was well above expectations rushing the passer in 2025. And maybe his feeling is that it is somewhat unlikely that he gets back there, and he doesn't want to come back just to be an okay player. Maybe that's the thinking here. Maybe he just feels like, look, I won the Super Bowl. I played a lot of football in my life. I'm tired. I've done what I need to do. I mean, I'm really proud of the career that I've had, and I got to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish in Seattle. I'm good. Like that is a realistic possibility, and I would understand if that happened. But we're already kind of up against it in the edge room this offseason, right? I've talked about it a lot. Boye Mafe seems like he's gone. Looks like he's going to get paid a lot of money that I'm not really willing to give him, and I don't think this team is willing to give him. And Uchenna Nwosu, maybe now we're forced to bring him back. If Lawrence retires, we might have to bring Nwosu back just because. But what is Nwosu? Is he somebody we can depend on for good football? I talk about it all the time. Feels like he's physically breaking down. Feels like he's not the same player that he was 3 years ago, and I don't think that player's coming back. We saw it for a little bit at the start of 2025, but the last 3 months of the season, like I keep saying, very little production. So, what is your edge room at that point? It's Derek Hall, and I mean, Hall's good, but can we really depend on Derek Hall to carry the load for an edge room? So that's number one. I mean, even with DeMarcus Lawrence, this was going to be tight. Even with DeMarcus Lawrence, I wasn't loving the edge room, but you lose DeMarcus Lawrence, that's probably your best all-around edge player. So at that point, I think you are kind of forced to bring back Nwosu, which at $20 million for a guy who I don't even know if he can get to the quarterback anymore. I know he can get a little bit of pressure here and there, but I don't know if he can consistently actually get to the quarterback and bring him down. That's not a good position to be in either. And beyond this, the other element at play here, the other thing to consider is what happens monetarily if DeMarcus Lawrence retires. Now, you may remember several weeks ago, I put a video together about potential cut candidates for the Seahawks, and understand that for our purposes, being cut and retiring are basically the same thing as far as finances go. So, as you can see here, I had D-Law with a cap hit of just under 12 million, dead cap of 4.4 and a quarter million if released or retired, and then the cap savings from that are 7.5 million. However, that was before the DeMarcus Lawrence contract, and several other contracts, by the way, got partial guarantees on the Friday after the Super Bowl. Remember, there was a whole article about this. Several Seahawks, DeMarcus Lawrence included, got part of their 2026 money guaranteed if they were still on the team the Friday after the Super Bowl. So if you go to Over the Cap now and you look at what the actual money savings would be if Lawrence were gone, cut or retired or whatever, you have 9.25 million dead, which means you're only saving 2.25 million. So at this point, you're not really saving anything. 2.25 million, or excuse me, 2.5 million is not really getting you anywhere. So this is not a scenario where there's a silver lining and we can say, well, now we have a bunch more money to spend. No, we don't. We have a little more money to spend, and Lawrence is still getting paid most of his money, even though he won't be on the team. So that's the other thing to consider here. Now, that's not the end of the story. In situations like this, sometimes the player will just give back the guarantees because it's kind of, I mean, the guarantees were put in the contract with the expectation that the player would be back for the next season if they got those guarantees. So the player might go, okay, well, since I'm not going to come back for 2026, and look, maybe Lawrence felt like he was going to come back right after the Super Bowl, but as time goes on in this offseason, where he's getting time to sit at home, getting time to heal, he's realizing he doesn't really want to come back. Maybe he just go, you know what? I've made plenty of money in my career. It's not that big of a deal. I'll give that money back and it'll go back to this number because he is entitled to some guarantees. The idea is just that he gives back the extra money he got, which was like $5 million, because he was on the roster after the Friday after the Super Bowl. That is something that could happen. The player could just decide, you know what, I changed my mind. I don't want to play, and I don't want this to be a problem. And I understand that the 5 million was assuming that I would not retire right after it kicked in. Like that would be a little bit. I don't want to say it's scummy, but it would be a little bit like deceit. I think there would be a little bit of deception involved there, where you lead the team to believe that you're going to be back, and then you just wait for the guarantee to kick in, and then you decide to retire. I think that is something that would certainly annoy the team greatly, because that's not really what it was intended to be. Or maybe the player doesn't, and then the team just says no, and then the team decides to fight it out. That has happened before. I know the 49ers did it when they had Jim Harbaugh as their coach. There was a player that signed a contract, multi-year deal with guarantees, and then they retired after 1 year. And Harbaugh and the Niners were like, you know what? We don't want to pay you, so we're not going to. And they had to fight over it. I think the NFL, I can't remember exactly what the resolution was, but I believe they got to keep the money. This also happened with Aaron Hernandez when he went to prison. There were guarantees in his contract the Patriots decided to not honor, and the family of Aaron Hernandez had to fight over that. And again, I'm not 100% sure what the resolution was there, but I'm pretty sure they didn't have to pay him, or the family for that matter. So there is some precedence for fighting against the guarantee if you feel like it's not particularly fair. Or the team could just decide, you know what, you helped us win the Super Bowl. Take your free $5 million. We'll deal with it. Enjoy retirement. Not worth fighting over. That could happen too. So there are a few options left, and it's hard to know exactly which way this is going to go. I mean, first, the guy has to retire, right? There's a very good chance that he decides, you know what, I want to come back. I got to try to defend this title. And I'm going to say it again, even if DeMarcus Lawrence is not going to be able to rush the passer the way he used to, which is very possibly the case, that guy's going to be able to hold the edge against the run for a long time. That guy's going to be able to play the run effectively for a while. So even that, I'm like not that worried about his ability. Again, to me, it's more a matter of can he can he motivate himself to play at the level he needs to play at? Can he motivate himself to be the best that he can be, knowing that he now has a Super Bowl ring, made the Pro Bowl last year, proved the doubters wrong, and is now 34 years old, or about to be. So first he has to retire, and then he has to make a decision with the money, and then the team has to decide how they respond to it. So that's a little bit down the line here, but it is definitely worth talking about that DeMarcus Lawrence seems like he could retire. And again, like we can talk about money stuff, but the main impact is this is a team trying to repeat in 2026, and they're already dealing with problems at edge. If they lose DeMarcus Lawrence, they better be ready to go hog wild in free agency, trying to bring in some studs. You're going to have to go all out, because at that point, you've got Derek Hall, you've got broken down, probably Uchenna Nwosu, and you've got a couple of flyers on the practice squad. All right, I'm going to go and get on out of here. More videos coming soon, though. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. Really hoping we don't have to deal with this offseason, but maybe. All right, see you later.